We interrupt your regularly scheduled Let's Play for Nerds on the Couch.
I did not agree to this.
And tell them what we did.
Fine. Gear and I, along with one of our friends, went to go see the Super Mario Galaxy movie.
And how was it?
It was pretty good.
What do you have to say to the critics who said it's bad?
Definitely being way too harsh. But then again, when are they not? Huh, yep.
Yep, pretty much. Anyway, we're going to talk about the movie, our thoughts on it, and we're going to try our damnedest to remain relatively spoiler free. That pretty much means no spoiling the mid and post credit scenes, you know? And trying to basically share our thoughts without spoiling any major plot points. Because as usual, there is a plethora of visual and audio Easter eggs and references to be had. So, that's going to be a regular thing. Can I help you? Can I help you? Trying to steal the show like usual? Look who it is, everybody. It's a small furry cat who is spoiled rotten but still relatively annoyed with her father's shenanigans. Yeah. Alright. Do your thing, kitty. Anyway, where were we?
We were here.
So, let's start with Brent. Tell us your overall thoughts on the film.
Well, I will say this. Visually, it's an anime. It's actually very good. Illumination, I believe it's Illumination France that handled this one.
I can look that up while you're talking.
Yeah, the animation is really, really good. In terms of, I also will say that I'm glad that there's not that much licensed music, which was one of my issues I had with the original movie. Fun fact, I actually found out that there was actually supposed to be like unused songs that were like, just used from like Mario and Donkey Kong that were cut in replacement of that.
Huh.
Yeah. So glad that was changed through there. I will say I think the pacing might be a little bit too quick because it feels like they're going from one point to the next.
Mhm.
But that's just a minor critique of mine. Overall, without going into like spoiler territory, I think it was pretty great.
You are actually correct. Illumination Studios Paris. That's the animation team at Illumination who did it. Yeah, yeah. I think like the licensed music was like you have so much great composition by Koji Kondo through all the work that he and other composers at Nintendo have done on the Mario franchise. And in the first movie, you're doing everything from Aha to who's that woman who sings "Holding Out for a Hero"?
I don't remember who it is.
Yeah, it's like
And Thunderstruck.
I mean, bare minimum, maybe one or two licensed songs. I would have kept Thunderstruck in just because it really led up to the great scene about, Toad having the giant fucking monster truck.
Mhm.
Now, after watching this movie, I do want to say one thing. I have seen some people online discuss how they feel that the cameo characters, the ones that we all know about, Rob, Pikmin, um, and Fox, as well as the ones that you don't know about unless you see the movie, are Nintendo's way of not caring about the plot and only interested in shoehorning them in to set up their cinematic universe. Like the Pikmin movie, the Star Fox movie, etc. Can't really do shit with Rob. He only had 2 games, Stack 'em and Gyromite. The Gyromite movie.
Mhm.
Anyway, but the point is, I can agree that it looks like they're trying to shoehorn unnecessary characters in to set up a cinematic universe, but it did not detract from the plot. That's where I have to disagree.
Yeah, I agree too.
The plot definitely seemed to be more coherent than the people I watched reviews of saying that it was all over the place. You know?
Agreed. As I
Yeah.
said, my biggest complaint with the plot is mainly just the pacing because it feels a little bit too fast. But one event moves into the abyss a little bit too much, but that's not like enough to destroy the plot.
Yeah, and then they only have 2 galaxies in the whole movie, and the rest of the locations are based off of other things. Like, would talking about the casino be considered a spoiler?
I don't think so because that's in a trailer.
So, people who are questioning, well, what's Wart doing in the Super Mario Galaxy movie? He's from Subcon, which Mario found in a dream, and then he went with his friends after the dream to go rescue the inhabitants of Subcon from Wart. Wart is working in a casino in what appears to be Neo Bowser City. That's right, a location based off a Mario Kart racetrack. That's creativity, and it's located in the Gateway Galaxy in the film, but like they could have done well, I mean, with the way they're doing the titles, I can't really see a Super Mario Brothers 2 movie and then just jump to the Super Mario World movie but the point is
Super Mario Sunshine movie.
yeah. The point is they could have done something in regards to say having Wart saved for an adventure in Subcon,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We think of Bowser as the premier Mario villain. And well, I think 9 times out of 10 he is.
Mm-hmm.
Wart the only other villain Mario's ever gone up against, and by that I mean final boss territory.
I don't think so, but Wart's definitely the first one you think of, but that's before, aside from him.
And that's if you're old enough to know who he is.
Yeah.
Or young enough that you're internet savvy, that you're a young walking Mario encyclopedia.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of people would probably, oh, was this Wart thing a new character? Is he confirmation of Super Mario Galaxy 3? No. He appeared in the late 80s in Doki Doki Panic, and when that got reskinned in the US as Super Mario Bros. 2, the USA edition, he became the first non-Bowser villain Mario ever fought. So, yeah. Let's see. I was thinking about some other shit while I was talking about Wart and Neo Bowser City. It slipped my mind. Do you have anything else to say?
Not really, no. At least currently where we're on to now.
Sip and think. Why are you not sipping and thinking?
I thought you were just doing that.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
I remember.
We'll see.
Well, he sips and thinks. I'll say what I remember. I am going to say this with no spoilers whatsoever. They are setting up their own separate canonicity that makes the movie universe non-canonical to the games. Kind of like how the Five Nights at Freddy's book universe and cinematic universe are non-canonical to the games. And Scott Cawthon even said that each form of media had to have its own canonicity. So it's like the puppet is only female in the cinematic universe. Unless we've already unmasked the identity of whose spirit inhabits the puppet in the games, we still don't know the puppet's gender in the games. So it's anything that you see in the Mario movies is not necessarily canon to the video games. For example, despite the fact that Donkey Kong is considered to be Cranky Kong's son in the movies, there has been info posted online before where Nintendo has pretty much said, this is Donkey Kong II. He is the son of Donkey Kong Jr., which is further clarified in Donkey Kong Country games when Cranky refers to him as his good-for-nothing grandson. So, Peach's origins being revealed in the Galaxy movie is strictly canon to the movies themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Captain Toad wearing Toad wearing the Captain Toad outfits in the movie and whatnot, and what is I've already seen it stated on the Mario Wiki in the past that Toad is named for the species of toads, and Captain Toad is a separate Toad from Toad.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can agree or disagree with that, but if that is canonical to the video games, then that pretty much means that Toad dressing like Captain Toad in the movies is strictly canonical to the movies. So they are setting up their own canon, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, if the end credit scene, like the post credit scene, and I call them mid and post credit scenes because that's what they are. Much like the first film, there's the artsy fartsy style of credits, Really good Yoshi's Crafted World reference there too.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm calling it. You can call it whatever the fuck you want, But and then there's a scene, and then the traditional fade to black credit roll, common with movies. And then you have the, if the end credit scene, the very, very post-credit scene is anything to go by, we may be getting a certain character having different canonicity and origins than that of the video games in which this character debuted in. That's all I'm going to say,
Yeah.
Because again, the movie's only been out for 4 days now, if it came out on April 1st. Am I counting correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
The movie's only been out for 4 days now. It's breaking box office records. The audience score before I saw the movie was sitting at 92%, only 3% less than the first film, so audiences are fucking loving it. And I just want to give my favorite reference in the movie simply because it's a literal, if you don't listen close, you're going to miss it. There is a Luma who literally says, and it's garbled through a pacifier, that this Luma is, and I quote, on the brothers. Did you hear the Luma say that at the beginning?
I did.
And you could tell it was really garbled and muffled. You had to listen really close.
Yeah.
It was like, and tell the audience what reference from the first Mario movie. We are talking about the 2023 one, not the atrocity from 1993, mind you. Mm-hmm. Tell them in the first Super Mario Brothers movie, what is Hooked on the Brothers a reference to from the first film?
I'm trying to remember that one. It's been a while since I saw the first.
I'll give you a hint. Think about the commercial they aired on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Hooked on the Brothers is from the plumber rap from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. So they're trying to bring in audiences of all ages. They want the old farts like us who grew up with the OG Mario back when licensing and merchandising was starting to be all the rage. There were cartoons, there were books, there were bed sheets, there was fucking Mario Brothers shaped Kraft macaroni and cheese. Why the hell is SpaghettiOs doing it, but
there was
Kraft
t-shirts, there was underwear.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, point is, on Super Mario Brothers Super Show, you either know it or you don't. And for, when I heard the plumber rap going on in the commercial in the first film, squealed. I tried not to disturb people in the theater, Sure, I said that when we did our review of the Super Mario Brothers movie 3 years ago, but point is, continuing on, it's they brought another Super Show reference back by the baby Luma being hooked on the brothers. It's really, really just they know that the older crowd is going to know that,
Mm-hmm.
and the younger crowd is going to see the stuff that they're used to, that giant character reel that was character, all the way to the end. It's you could see the Toasterainas in that trailer, so it's Toasteraina and whatnot, the Sand Kingdom. People are going to see that as a reference for what it is, a reference to Super Mario Odyssey, just like how we saw the inverted pyramid in the first one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will say, they did reuse a very certain blink and you'll miss it reference from the first film in the second film. And reusing references and Easter eggs is fine, just keep it fresh,
Mm-hmm.
Don't blatantly reuse it. The plumber rap is one reference to the Super Show. I Hooked on the Brothers is the same is a different reference to the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say what the second reference is, but I know you saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that second reference, when you see it and you compare it, it's the exact same thing they did the first time. It's You could have done something similar to that, just with something slightly different, you know? Now, the post-credit scene did 100% set up that there is going to be another movie, you know? And this does beg the question, when are we getting Luigi's Mansion movie? When are we getting the Star Fox movie? You know, is Illumination going to have multiple different studios across the world handling animation for different films? Because they set up a sequel. They set up Super Mario Bros. Movie 3, and now we need to know how working on a third Super Mario film is going to allow Illumination. And another question, because I saw something somewhere. It was either one of those news articles on, when you open Google Chrome on your phone and it has like all these little headlines and articles you can link to. It was either that or it was a YouTube video that popped up in my recommendation feed in relation to video game and movie related stuff. But apparently Miyamoto has come out and said the Super Smash Bros. Movie is a long way off, which is fine by me because we know that Legend of Zelda is going to be live action. What are they going to do? Are they going to pull like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit or a Scooby Doo type dealio where it's like live action Link and Zelda appear in the Super Smash Bros. Movie? Are they going to be animated counterparts voiced by the same people? Is there going to be an actual animated The Legend of Zelda movie alongside the live action? Like, we don't know, so it's time. But if they're setting up a cinematic universe, they have to make sure that they're consistent with the animation, consistent with the voice actors. Like Glenn Powell has to voice Fox in the Star Fox movie, unless he doesn't want to come back. You know? Yeah. So it's like, give us some more thoughts.
Hmm. Well, don't have much thoughts on the movie itself, but I do have a question. What do you think is going to? What are you hoping will show up in the third film?
Well, I would love to see um, Wario and Waluigi.
I would
I
too.
mean, yeah, it's like first off, let me just say I think it would have been cooler if they went in like order of like game releases, like the Super Mario Brothers movie. We'll skip over the Super Mario Land movie just because of the Yoshi egg scene, and they'd have to set it because if they did like Land before World, we'd be waiting 2 films to see the end result of the Yoshi. You know?
Hmm.
Well, it's like Super Mario Brothers movie. I would like to have next seen the Super Mario World movie. Sunshine. We're skipping over 64 for one reason. Would you watch a film called the Super Mario 64 movie?
I think people will be confused.
Exactly. Going by the names of the games and adding the word movie to the end means that some games can work with the title system, some games cannot. So, it would have been cool if it had been like Brothers, World, Sunshine, then Galaxy, Brothers, World, Sunshine, Galaxy. And then Super Mario Brothers 5 would basically be the Super Mario Odyssey movie. And then, if they wanted to get really crazy and out there, the Super Mario Wonder movie. Then, if they wanted to, they could double back and do like, hey, at some point, we have to introduce Daisy into the film, much like we have to introduce creatures like Nabbit and Wario and Waluigi. Oh, I'm sorry, Wario is a creature, Waluigi's just an abnormally tall human.
Hmm.
You don't get that gassy and full of garlic by being human, Wario. Anyway, the point is, so it's like, oh, hey, in this movie, we have Daisy appearing as a main character. Here's who she's voiced by. But wait, we didn't do her origin story because we decided to do these 6 films first, and our 7th film is the Super Mario Land movie, which basically shows the very first time that Mario and Daisy met in Sarasa Land, and he totally fucking forgot. It's like, yeah, I mean, but yeah, seriously, all joking aside, I do want to see Wario and Waluigi make their way in because if the third film's not the end, they're going to have to introduce those two eventually. They're principal cast, you know? Yeah. And I'm just going to say this about the Luigi's Mansion movie because people have been speculating about it since the scene where Luigi ran into the house and got scared by the Shy Guys and the lone Sniffet. I once saw somebody online commenting on a YouTube video. Here's how they should end the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Luigi gets a call from Egad, who mistakes him for Mario, and says, I need your help with something. I know how brave you are. And that's how the Super Mario Galaxy movie, how the Luigi's Mansion movie gets set up. What do you think? Is that the correct way to set up the the Luigi's Mansion movie?
I think it'd be one of the good ways to do it. Yeah,
So you have no respect for the actual opening of the game.
I said one of the good ways. I'm not saying like it would. I'm not saying it has to be the way.
I'm gonna die on this hill right here, okay? The only way to open up the Luigi's Mansion movie is for Luigi to win a mansion in a contest he didn't enter. I would love to see what Charlie Day and the writing staff at Illumination and Nintendo can do with that in movie form.
Hmm.
And it's the Luigi's Mansion movie, so you kind of got to have rescuing Mario as the order of the day, you know?
Hmm.
The Luigi's Mansion movie, to me, seems like he should be the hero front and center.
Yeah.
Yeah, as for talking about Wario and Waluigi, and ignoring what everyone's saying online, because anyone can say Danny DeVito and Willem Dafoe. Who would your picks for Wario and Waluigi? Assuming that, much like Mario and Luigi, they're not going to have the stereotypical Italian accent.
Honestly, I don't know too much just because I'm not too familiar with a lot of celebrities. Like I definitely think Danny DeVito would have been like, funny, but in terms of like other people, I really just can't, think of anyone. As I said, unfortunately, I don't really pay attention to a lot of celebrity
Oh,
and like
well, you remember his performance as the Green Goblin in Spider-Man, right? Like
yeah.
Willem Dafoe. I think he's a bit too low pitch. Like even if Waluigi isn't going to have a stereotypical Italian accent and Wario isn't, you still want to catch that high pitched voice that Waluigi has, you know? Like something like tell me, if Willem Dafoe used his regular voice, how would you feel about Waluigi?
Definitely would not give off the same vibe you're trying to find.
Kill it with fire?
I wouldn't say kill it with fire, but definitely would not be what you're looking for.
Yeah, it's like Mario and Luigi, like Chris Pratt and Charlie Day, they really capture the voice actors of the 80s and 90s who did cartoon stuff for
Yeah.
Mario. Like, I can really hear. Would you say he sounds a little bit more like Lou Albano than Walker Boone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he really captures Lou Albano's performance of Mario, which is really, really great for the performers from Brooklyn canonicity, you know? As for, would you say Day went for more of a Tony Rosato or Danny Wells with his Luigi?
I think it was more Tony Rosato.
Yeah, because it was definitely a bit of the lower pitch side.
Mhm.
Yeah, like you gotta to know you gotta watch Danny Wells' performance in the Super Mario Brothers Super Show as Luigi, and then you've got to watch Tony Rosato's performance in Adventures of Super Mario Brothers 3 or Super Mario World, and but they were really, I really feel these two were capturing those actors, and I want to see Wario and Waluigi with or without Italian accents capturing that voice. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah. Now, the real question is, since we already know that Bowser Jr. has his wonder powers in the Super Mario Galaxy movie, how would you feel if they made a Super Mario Sunshine movie? Not necessarily next, but as a point of order to it. How would you see the plot going?
That I genuinely don't know just because of the way that they handled with the character. Because, like, in Sunshine, his, like, powers basically are, aside from, like, the paint and stuff, he also can disguise himself as, like, Mario. But what would be the point?
I could see him still doing that to frame Mario, and I could see Bowser actually telling him that Peach is his mother, I mean, he doesn't. He said no. I can't really say that without spoiling a plot point of the second film. But the point is, even in movie canonicity, Bowser Jr. does not know who his mother is. I can see it working. The question is, would they be able to pull it off with everything that happened over the course of the second movie? Because remember, this is the first time they meet Bowser Jr. in this movie. So they can't make like an interquel down the line where this is an adventure that happened before the events of the Super Mario Galaxy movie. So again, like my joke about the seventh movie being the Super Mario Land movie in that order, and Mario forgetting that he'd rescued Daisy and Sarasa Land from Japan. Tanga, another non-Mario villain right there. Super Mario, with the new canonicity for the movies, that was a fucking missed opportunity right there. They could have stuck to Tanga into the film, but I think he's far too forgotten. Either you know or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What would you think about Tanga in the if he had been in the Super Mario Galaxy movie?
It would have been very interesting, but I mean, here's one reason why I feel like they probably wouldn't have him in Galaxy. Same for the next one.
True. The question is, what are they going to be doing with the next one? Because again, since they are setting up their own unique canonicity different from the games, and Peach definitely has a completely different origin story than she may or may not from game perspective. It's really a question of what are they going to do with each movie as new characters get introduced, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would love to even with like Luigi's Mansion or Super Mario Sunshine, I would absolutely love to see movies that even when they're doing their own thing have decent relevance to the plot, you know? Like I would love to see Luigi go into the mansion, get frightened by the booze, go with Egad back to his lab. I mean, the plot of Luigi's Mansion, well, the gameplay aspect doesn't translate into a movie script. The plot itself does.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, Luigi wins a mansion. He expresses confusion that he didn't enter a contest, but he goes to check it out anyway because Mario decided to run ahead and look at it anyway. He can't find Mario. He gets scared by the ghosts. He meets Egad, who brings him back to his lab, outfits him with a poltergust, trains him to use it. Maybe a slightly shorter training montage than the first Super Mario Brothers film, so the plot has time to develop. And Luigi more or less does what he do in the game. Becomes a fucking Ghostbuster.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you gonna call?
Luigi.
Exactly. Because it's like, that'd be awesome. It'd be a great way to introduce Egad, and, Luigi could reference, like, hey, your face looks very familiar to me. It almost looks like the icon on that paintbrush that terrible Bowser Jr. had. That is my best Tony Rosato x Danny Wells combined.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Ah, yes, I did dabble in a paintbrush. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. As annoying as it would get, the fact that he says like the fact that he's like speaking animalese in the games and saying yabba yabba all the time, you cannot deny that you don't that you, the people of the world, don't want that to be a part of Egad's catchphrase. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, it's like he could reference that Egad's face and hair look kind of like the icon on the paintbrush. And he could mention the fact that, yes, he did make a special paintbrush, but he seems to have misplaced it. That would connect the Luigi's Mansion movie to the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Because we know from Sunshine already that Bowser Jr. stole the paintbrush.
Mm-hmm.
And we know from Bowser's Fury that he's still using the paintbrush to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's its own canonicity, but it's also tied in. So it works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All in all, I'm going to end this by saying one thing. Illumination is 2 for 2 with writing good Mario movies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a little bit of room for improvement, like Brent said, with how fast the plot's moving.
Yeah. Actually, point of thought of that, I think it might just be maybe the pacing is because of maybe the budget and runtime.
Maybe. Not everybody wants to make a movie going upwards of 2.5 to 3 hours.
Oh no, in fact, I will say that the timing for that one is perfectly normal for
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind it if it stretched a little longer, but not too long, you know?
yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like movies that technically gather children particularly definitely would be shorter because kids are still developing, their attention spans is not that great.
Yeah. And adults probably have things they need to do, so nighttime showings, they don't know how long they can be in the theater. Point is, like,
Exactly.
yeah, they're 2 for 2. Even with room for improvement and room for criticism of the film, they've knocked it out of the park twice. Nintendo picked a winner, and if they keep up this pace, fingers crossed, by the way, they're not going to write a bad Mario movie. So far, they're writing the acting, the humor, the references. It's on point. It's great.
Hmm.
I mean, nothing's ever going to be perfect, and there's always going to be room for criticism, but I am excited to see what the Super Mario Brothers 3 movie is going to bring. Who's going to be in it, besides what those of us who've seen it have already known. And please, when commenting on the movie, please, 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 I am begging you all, when you comment, do not spoil anything for people who haven't seen it. If it would be considered a major spoiler, please think before you type. Because this is a movie that I think everybody who likes Mario and wants to see the movie should see.
Hmm.
I know I'm springing for the DVD release when it comes out, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe get some friends together, do a back-to-back watch party of both movies.
Hmm.
There will be pizza and pasta for all.
Yeah, but who's going to be buying it?
If I get enough pasta from the grocery store, I can cook my own pasta. I'll buy and cook a fuck ton of pasta. You buy a fuck ton of pizza.
Fair.
If we haven't bankrupted our bank accounts, we're doing it wrong. I'm kidding. Any final thoughts on the movie?
No, I think I've said my piece, but I will say this. If I were to bankrupt myself to get pizza, you would not have an apartment to live in because it would probably fill this entire place.
As long as it doesn't, as long as it doesn't fill the bedroom, we're good. Because I can still live out of there. All right, so let us. If you saw the movie, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you are on the fence about the movie, I hope that this has convinced you to give it a watch. And yeah, we will. We will now return you to your regular scheduled next play. I can no longer English. Regularly scheduled Let's Play in the next upload.
Kira's been talking for a while, guys. It happens.
Do I get a cookie now?
Yes, you do.
Yay.